Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Dan Blanchard with the Traveling Time with Dan show, where we mix travel with history and with leadership, and of course with me, Dan Blanchard. Today I want to talk to you about Mary Mallon, the one that the media dubbed Typhoid Mary, the most dangerous woman in America. You see, Mary, she was the first identified asymptomatic carrier of typhoid in the United States. And I'm going to share with you her story today. But first, I want you to think about this if you were in her shoes, right? If you were perfectly healthy, right? Perfectly healthy, right? And the government told you that your mere presence alone could kill people. Would you believe them? And would you go to jail for life to try to protect others, keep others safe? This is crazy, right? Well, today, I'm right over here at the Thompson Cottage at 64 Ansted Street in Oyster Bay, Long Island, New York. And there was a lot of urgency to cure this case because there was a breakout of typhoid right in this area. And if you guys know, 1900 Oyster Bay, Sagamore Hills, it's right down the road. That's President Teddy Roosevelt's residence, right? So there's a real urgency to solve this typhoid breakout that's killing people left and right. So they're gonna hire a guy named George Soper, right? And he's gonna be like a engineer, sanitation engineer guy. And they're gonna say, hey, guess what? You need to find it, right? And he is. He's going to go looking around for the typhoid, what's causing it. He's going to find out it's not the water, it's not the food, but he's going to bring it back to a woman called Mary Mallon, who works right here in this house. Right here, she's a cook in this house, all right, behind me, okay? George Mallon is going to do a lot of investigations, and Mary Mallon's going to change her name and leave and go to Manhattan. She does it multiple times. She goes to Manhattan, right? And George Soper is going to find her under a different name with as cooking in Manhattan. There's going to be other people, more cases of typhoid breakout, and he's going to just basically trace it right to her, where he's going to confront her in the kitchen and say, hey, you got you're fired. And she's like, I don't have typhoid. Yes, you do. You got typhoid, and I can prove it. You're an asymptomatic carrier. Just give me a stool sample, a urine sample, a blood sample, right? She's like, what are you, crazy? And then you have the kitchen, the famous kitchen standoff. Mary gets angry, grabs one of those carving knives or one of those big kitchen forks or whatever, and she chases him out of there. George Soper says, I feel lucky to have gotten away with my life on that one. So he's going to eventually bring in the authorities. And they're going to grab her and they're going to put her on Brother Island. They're going to retain her on Brother Island. And they're going to tell her, you got to promise not to cook anymore. After a couple of years, she breaks down, says, all right, I won't cook anymore, right? And they let her go. And then she does it again, changes her name. She tries to be a laundry person first, changes her name and goes back to cooking anyways. They find her again. They say, that's it. You're going to be locked up at North Brother Island. And it's for good. It's for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, right? That's crazy. Right? Now, she feels like she's really being treated unfairly. I mean, she's an Irish immigrant woman. They're just discriminating against her. And then when when the facts do come out later on, there's actually going to be 400 other asymptomatic carriers of typhoid. And they're not going to lock them up like they did to Mary Mallon. Right? So, yes, I mean, she really did get treated badly. I mean, some of it was her own fault because of her anger, and I mean, she could have done some things like washed her hands. She refused to do it. Serve only hot food, right? She didn't want to do that because it was her peach ice cream that she loved giving out, and that's where the typhoid passed, was on the peach ice cream because it wasn't heated up in the ovens, right? They told her no more cooking. She refused to do that, said that's how she made a living, and she was a talented cook and made a lot more money, so you can kind of see how that goes. They even said, hey, give us your gallbladder. If you give us your gallbladder where we think the bacteria is hiding, then you could go back to cooking. She wouldn't do any of those things. Now, did she get what she deserved? Probably not. Probably didn't deserve to be locked up on Brothers Island for the rest of her life, in forced isolation, didn't deserve that. I mean, but people, I don't know. I mean, if you were like head of the health authorities, you would probably say, I got to do something about this, right? Got to do something about the public safety, right? So now it comes down to civil rights, individuals' rights against the public's rights, right? It's a tough thing that they can struggle with and wrestle with. So, I always talk about travel, history, and leadership when I'm with you guys. Long Island, Oyster Bay, there's just so many things to see here. The house that Mary Mallon, Typhoid Mary, the most dangerous woman in America, according to the media, they did her kind of dirty. It's a great place to see. So what's the leadership lesson? I always like to throw some leadership in there. What's the leadership lesson? Well, the leadership lesson is this. All right, we're going to go back to George Soper here. Here's the leadership lesson, right? There was a really high cost of his expert arrogance. I mean, he had the data. But data without empathy is an attack. And that's exactly the way Mary Soper saw it. I mean, Soper, yes, he knew his stuff. He was really good, like an expert, right? But he lacked the soft skills to deliver that message to Mary in a way that she could handle it, right? Mary, after all, she was a healthy pairing, right? And when Mary saw Soper as a madman, accusing her of all this stuff, and you want a stool sample? Are you kidding me? No way. I don't know who you are. Get out of here. You're crazy, right? And that's how it went down between Mary and George Soper in the kitchen standoff that eventually led to her being locked up for life because she was an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid, and people were getting sick and some were dying. Well, anyways, thank you for spending time with me today on my Travel on Time with Dan show, where we mix travel with history and leadership, and of course me, Dan Blanchard. Appreciate your time, and I'll be back real soon with another great episode. You take care now. Bye-bye.